What's up, everybody? It's Alyssa Parr with Luminescent Dreams Web Design Studio, and I'm so excited to be back with another incredible tutorial video. This video is going to cover everything you need to know about blogging with Squarespace. So this is really a basic level tutorial video. Maybe you just launched your website and you want to create your first blog post or two, or you have an existing website on Squarespace but you haven't started your blog yet. So this is a really great opportunity just to learn the basics, get familiar with all the different options that are available to you. And I'm so excited. Let's just jump right in. So the first crucial step in setting up your Squarespace blog for success is to plan your content. This step really happens before you start building out all the pages on the blog in your Squarespace website. That way you'll have all your notes and thoughts written out and just be able to copy and paste that directly onto your Squarespace website rather than like designing and thinking and writing while you go. So the way I like to go about this is just to open up a blank Google Doc and start typing out my notes and thoughts, maybe even write in a journal beforehand, but just get all the information out there on the page and then refine your drafts later as you're coming up with your final revision on your blog post. And if you're new to blogging here, some tips on where to focus your blog is that typically a blog is where you might share your thoughts, advice, or free resources with your audience that helps them build trust with you and solve their problems. So as you start writing content for your blog, I recommend just brainstorming ideas and topics that some of your clients might be Googling and asking questions about. And if you keep that in mind as you're writing your content, everything that you write is going to be super helpful and catered directly to their needs. A quick little example of that is that if you're a wedding venue located in Southern California and you want to market to brides who are looking at different wedding venues and information as they prep to book their dream wedding venue, some blog post topics ideas might be best wedding photographers in Southern California. Notice that one is location specific, which is super good for SEO. Another idea might be how to prepare for a flawless wedding day, essential do's and don'ts for brides to keep in mind. And last but not least, another topic could be something like 5 things you need to know when choosing your dream wedding venue. And as you're creating content for your blog, just make sure to position yourself as an expert and a guide to help your dream audience and clientele receive the information and support that they need. So pro tip, just remember, it's all about them, not so much about you. You're just providing the information and being there to steer them in the right direction and guide them throughout their process. All right, so now that you've planned out your content, the next step is to create the actual blog page on your Squarespace website. So I'll show you how to do that with my Amethyst template, but just know that these rules apply to any Squarespace 7.1 website. And so you can take this information and fully customize your blog and make it your own. So here in your website, you'll go to Pages. And if you don't already have a blog page, which this particular template doesn't, you'll go up to the plus arrow and select Blog from the drop-down menu. And then you can click on whichever design resonates with your style and the kind of layout that you want. I personally am going to choose this one today. And one of the first things you'll notice is that it comes up saying blog 2. I want to change that to just blog. So I'm going to delete the 2, hit enter. And also just want to double check here in the main blog settings. Yep, that's all correct. The page title is blog, navigation title is blog, and the URL slug is /blog. Let me just double check. Sometimes, yeah, this is super important. Sometimes it will like carry over a number or something onto the SEO setting. So I'm going to delete that number 2 and just keep it as blog. And for now, I'm not going to edit any other features on here. Just keep things pretty simple for this tutorial video. And then make sure to hit save when you're done. Something you'll also notice too is that if you created a new page by default, it might be showing up here in front of your home page or other pages on your website. And just know you can move this down to any part of your website that you want. So for now, I put it here after the services drop-down menu. And voila, there you have it, your very own blog page on your Squarespace website. Next up, step 3 is to customize your blog's overview page. So you'll see this is the main blog page. If you click on blog overview, it shows all the different posts. Whereas if you click on blog content, it will show each individual blog post you can click on and change. I'll get into the individual blog posts in just a moment here, but for now, let's focus on the overview page. So you do have some overarching settings with your blog. If you go to Edit section, you can change some of the format and layout settings. If you want, experiment with those. And on some of these settings, you can add additional columns. So if I wanted 3 columns instead of 2, I wanted to switch up the horizontal spacing, you can do that with the sliders here, vertical spacing as well. Same thing goes with the colors, but I'll let you have a play with that on your own website. Just whenever you make changes, make sure to hit save when you're done. And a couple other cool tips and tricks on customizing your blog's overview page is that you can add additional sections above and or below your actual blog post previews. So for now, I'm going to add like a header title kind of section here. Let's see, I'll just start with a blank section for now. I'll add a heading 1, the Amethyst blog. And for now, just going along with the whole wedding theme from earlier in this tutorial, I'm just going to copy some graph text, like a little description of what the blog's about, all the tips and tricks you need to have a flawless wedding experience. You could even add a background image here if you like. So I'll just look and see if there's any nice wedding related stock photos. Yeah, maybe we'll see how this looks. And create an opacity so that the text shows up better. Center that. Yeah, and I'll drag and drop that to make it a little bit longer. And another cool little feature that I recommend adding to your main blog page is search bar. So if you go to add block, start typing in search, click on that. This will add a little search bar that your blog viewers can use to search for particular topics. And a couple things to note related to this is that you can limit the search results to a specific page. So if you wanted it only to be searchable on the blog, you would click that, as opposed to like people could search anywhere throughout your website. So that might be super important to click on. Then you can also do a light or dark menu. I'll choose dark since that goes better with this particular website design. And then there's also the option to have a little drop-down menu if you select that quick preview button. In the future too, you can also create tags and categories within your blogs and start linking them here on your main blog page. But since I haven't shown you even how to set up the individual blog posts in this tutorial yet, I'll save that for later. But I will jump over to my own website real quick and show you how I've set that up. So I have this resources tutorials page on my website with Squarespace tutorial videos. This is set up like a blog with categories. And so basically I have the main categories linked here on the little intro page. And if people click on Squarespace tips and tricks, it only shows them these videos. Whereas if they click on Squarespace basics, it only shows them that category. So I'll get more into that a little bit later in my tutorial video, but just wanted to show a preview of how you can set something up in a similar way. One last thing I forgot to do in the design here, in this particular website, there's a line between each of the sections. And so I'll just go in and make sure that I've added that in, create the divider. By default, Squarespace is doing like the squiggly line. So I'm gonna just keep it a straight line, make sure that it has the right color and thickness, and hit save. There we go. And I'm also just going to check on mobile view real quick, and I'll just move some of these elements down. Let's see. Yeah, I don't want the text covering too much of the image, so I will set it up like that for now. I think that'll be fine. All right. And you can customize this part of the mobile view, any new sections that you add but the sections that automatically display your blog posts automatically format and populate on mobile view. So there's really nothing you can edit or change here necessarily. All right, so now that you have your blog overview page set up, it's time to customize and add your individual blog posts. So to get to your individual blog posts, you want to make sure your page is saved and that you exit out of the main blog overview page. Then you'll click on blog content, and here you'll find all the different blog posts template that you can start from. So for now, I'm going to delete most of these and just start with one for this particular example. And I'll just start going through step by step of everything that you'll want to add in and double check. So you'll go into the editor for your website. And since we're still just rocking and rolling with the theme of wedding venues in California, I will make this blog post title, 5 Things You Need to Know When Choosing Your Dream Wedding Venue. So you'll just copy and paste that text directly in here. And this particular font size by default is typically your heading 1 font. And so if you wanted to change the size of this font, I'd recommend if you go up into Site Styles, Fonts, and then go into Assign Styles. I'm just going to do a quick Command F, type in blog, and if you scroll all the way down, you'll get to blog post. And here it's showing title. The title is heading 1. So you could change your font here to like heading 2 or heading 3 if you really wanted, but it's best for SEO practices to always have an H1 font on every page of your website that clearly identifies what the post is about. And so I recommend sticking to heading 1 here. And then if you did need to make your heading 1 font smaller throughout your entire website, you can just go into the font settings here and decrease that heading 1 font size a little bit. Then just make sure to hit save. So now you're ready to add your actual blog post content. And what I've done is I've prepared a little sample blog post. A pro tip from me specifically, lately, I've been using Grammarly Premium instead of ChatGPT for any kind of writing, like grammar support and help, as well as if I have writer's block or just want to rewrite something that's a little bit like more clear or concise. So instead of going to ChatGPT, I used Grammarly Premium and put in the same kind of prompt that you would for a ChatGPT AI. And this is the blog post that it came up with for me. So I'm just going to take all that text and copy it right in here and delete any like extra spacing or anything. And now that I've deleted some spacing, I'll just start making some of these key points, the heading 2 font, so that they stand out. It's really good, especially in your blog post, to have a good hierarchy of information so that if somebody's just quickly scrolling down the page, they can get like those 5 major bullet points and really get a sense of what your blog post is about. Actually, I'm going to make all these heading 3 font because this is pretty large and aggressive and I kind of prefer the smaller version. So let me just pause the video real quick and fix that. All right, that is looking much better. Next up, maybe you'll want to add a couple of images. I'll keep it really simple for now, just for demonstration purposes, but I wanted to note this is super duper important. If you've been using Squarespace 7.1 and you're used to the fluid engine layouts where you can drag and drop images on like a grid kind of system and overlap things and duplicate them, I just want to make it super clear that functionality is not possible on blogs in Squarespace. Squarespace's blogs use their classic editor, which has more of like this drag and drop feature where you can add, like let's say we want to add a spacer there and an image. Oh, it wasn't working for a second. Yeah, an image. You would have to, basically click on these little plus buttons and move your content where you see it, that little blue line snap to make it line up. So real quick, I'll just show you if we were to add an image here next to this text for this first step, that's how you would set that up in this particular format. And real quick, I'll go find a wedding related stock photo. Let's just pick this stock photo of this particular wedding venue. And voila, there it is. Feel free as well. You can adjust like the spacing here. If you added a spacer, if you didn't want a spacer at all, it would just automatically kind of snap to the top of that section there. Thing to know about your blogs and the classic editor of Squarespace is that Squarespace will automatically format it to mobile view. And so, yeah, you can't like drag and drop things around on mobile view here unless it were to change the desktop view as well. And so just keep your blog formatting pretty simple and yeah, and you'll be good to go. A couple other key things on your blog. You can edit the section design of individual pages. So if you edit this on a specific blog post, it will update all the other blog posts within that blog page of your website. So you have the option to show an author name or deselect that. Oh, and their profile. So that would hide my name and profile completely. You can also show the date and categories. And there's a couple other little settings that I'll let you play around with on your own time. Yeah, you can do background color kind of stuff as well. But I'll just hit save for now and go through some of the more detailed settings with your individual posts. Oh, and actually real quick, before I get into that, I wanted to mention it is a great idea to have some sort of lead capture or contact information at the bottom of each of your blog posts. So I'll use my example or my website again as an example. What I like to do is after the tutorial video and all the timestamps and any additional tips and tricks or notes, I always have a link for people to contact me if they're interested in booking one of my web design services. I also have an affiliate link for Squarespace. If you use that link when you sign up for your plan, and actually if you just use the code Luminescent10, it'll get you 10% off any Squarespace related subscription. So that works with like your email campaigns, your member areas, and other things. So those are little little bonuses, call to action kind of things that might be resourceful for adding into your individual blog posts. And then, yeah, if you have an email sign up, I highly recommend including that in your website's footer or any specific contact information or social media profiles. All right, so now that you have your actual blog post written up, ready to edit the settings for your particular blog post. So if you exit out of your blog post and click on these three little dots, you'll be able to edit your settings. So I'll just go through one by one and explain the importance of each of these. So your featured image is what will show up on your main blog post as well as this excerpt. So that will be like what displays here on this main blog page. It'll automatically already have your title and the date, but the excerpt and image you have to edit in here. So for now, I'll remove this image and add that same image that I had used already in the blog post. And for your excerpt, what I recommend doing is taking your entire blog post, and if you want to come up with your own summary of it, that's great. You can also go into something like ChatGPT or Grammarly and say, let's see, write me an SEO optimized description for this blog post. Wow, okay, cool. So there we have our description or little excerpt. I'll just paste that in there. Feel free to read it, shorten it, change anything that you need. And you'll also definitely want to check your blog post's URL. So I recommend making the URL exactly whatever the title of your blog post is. So I'll just make this slash 5 things you need to know when choosing your dream wedding venue. If you had like a super duper long blog post title, you might want to shorten it down a little bit. And you can always select an author there. And you can hide the author and the author profile on your blog posts if you don't want them mentioned. And later on in this video, I'll show you how to customize your blog author profile. But yeah, that's where you can choose one. I don't typically do anything with the source URL here. I'll let you play around with that if you want, but for me, it's never been necessary. Then in the option settings, whenever you're ready to publish this blog post on your live website, you can set the date and time that it was published. You can also schedule things out into the future if you want, and create drafts and have things like be added to a queue to review. But for now, I'll do published. And something that's really annoying, I know it's 2024 right now, things might change on Squarespace in the future, but every time I have a new website, it like defaults to 2019 and as like the default publish date to start. And so you literally have to click this button so many times. Here, I'm going to pause the video just to get all the way to 2024. Squarespace, if you're watching this, it would be great if you had like a little drop down calendar menu, or I could just type in the year and it would automatically jump to that year. But yeah, I'll say publish today, May 8th, 2024 at 1:05 p.m. Then as soon as you hit save when you're done, this blog post will publish on your website. But for now, I'll just get into some of the other settings real quick. So for SEO, if you don't write an SEO description, Squarespace will automatically generate, it'll like take the first couple of sentences on that blog post and just use that. And it'll also take your title that you've set. So typically I recommend just keeping the title of your blog post, like not needing to change that or add anything in. But then for the description, I'd recommend copying and pasting that same excerpt text that we used from here, unless you wanted to change that at all. Also, this is like a little wordy for SEO, so you could always cut it back and shorten it. Then for your social image, I always recommend adding one of these for blog posts. This is a little preview image that shows up if you were to share this blog on your Facebook or text it to somebody, and it shows that little preview link. If you don't set a custom social share image, just your default website social share image will come up instead. And if you're posting blogs on a regular basis, yeah, it's just nice to have images that are relevant to the particular post so that it's custom and looks unique. Then I'll get into some of this later. Squarespace has additional features, like if you're using Squarespace email campaigns, you can create an email draft directly from your blog post here, and also connect social media accounts. You can also set locations to be noted in that blog post settings if you wanted. So I'm just going to save all of that. Now, if you go back into the main blog overview, you'll see that this preview has all of that information. Oh, and I totally forgot to mention tags and categories. So I'll go back and review that real quick with you all. All right, so in your individual blog post settings, there are tags and categories. Super important difference between a tag and a category is that categories can display as primary metadata or secondary metadata at the top of blog posts or beneath the excerpt at the bottom, but tags can't display on the landing page. Categories are better for broadly grouping blog topics, whereas tags are better just to describe your post in more detail. So I personally don't really use tags in my blogs, but I do use categories, which is what I had quickly gone over from how my tutorials blog is set up. So basically on each of these individual blog posts, marked a category, whether it's Squarespace tips and tricks or Squarespace basics. That just helps people find what they're looking for and categorize things. Especially if you have like a really large blog, categories will be your best friend and super helpful in ensuring that people can find what they're looking for. So yeah, whenever you need to add either of those in, you can just start typing. I'll just write wedding prep, hit enter, and then on any blog post that you create in the future, you can just select, start typing in wedding prep and select it. Next up, while we're still on this page here, I just wanted to mention the comments feature. So you can disable or enable comments whenever you want. I personally like to keep them enabled on my website because it gives people the option to post a comment, get a discussion going. But yeah, there's totally cases where you wouldn't want people to comment on your blog posts, so I'll leave that setting up to you. There's also, if you click there, Squarespace will take you to some advanced comment settings where you can like require approval before people's comments get posted on your website. And there's all kinds of additional little settings that'll let you look through on your own time. But back to the blog here. You also have the option to make specific blog posts featured posts, which I'll get into a little bit later. This is helpful if you're creating summary blocks and displaying specific blog post previews, like say on the homepage of your website. So I'll just leave that there for now. And one last thing to note, as you're building out your blog and you have multiple pages, a super pro tip is that instead of creating a brand new blog post page from scratch every time you have something new to add, what I'd recommend doing instead is to just create a duplicate of your previous blog posts, and then you can just edit the title, any text and images, and double check all the SEO settings and make sure they're exactly set up the way that you want. And it's also important to note that Squarespace will post your blog posts in chronological order in order of the most recent to the least recent. And so if you ever needed to rearrange the order of your blog posts, you would just need to change the published date on the individual posts. All right. I know that was a lot of information. We just covered a lot of ground. So thank you so much for hanging in there. If you're still watching this video, I hope it's been really helpful for you. Feel free to like and subscribe to my channel or write some notes in the comments if there's any key takeaways that you learned from watching this or any other blog related or Squarespace related tutorial videos that you'd like me to record in the future. And for now, part 5, the final part of this tutorial video, I'll just be going through a couple of optional ways that you can integrate your blog into your website and marketing and some of the more detailed and nuanced settings if you want to have a look at those. First things first, I'll teach you how to create a summary block. So let's say you wanted to display a preview of your blog directly on your website's homepage. What you can do is go into your homepage editor and create a new section. I'll start with a blank section for now and say add block summary. And a summary block basically automatically pulls data from your blog. And so I'm going to select the blog here. And since I only have one post published, it's only showing this one. I made some duplicates of the blog posts. And something that I forgot to mention earlier in this tutorial is that if you use this, it's like a little toggle that lets you select what part of the image you want to focus on. That can really help if like Squarespace automatically crops the preview of your image weird. That'll just help you set the focal point. So I'd recommend, just double checking those, or if your blog preview photos are cropping funny, that's a great thing to take a look at. And I will just hit publish on this for now and go back to the home page. And now you can start to see it's already been populating these different blog posts. I kept the preview text and title all the same, and you'll see it even says like copy, copy, copy. But yeah, this is just for demonstration purposes. So for this summary block, you can fully customize the design however you see fit. But for now, I'm going to just stretch it out across the section and have it, actually, instead of the wall setting, I'll do a grid. And yeah, there's other options. You can have it set up like a list format. That looks pretty nice, actually, as well as a carousel. Actually, yeah, I'm going to keep it set up as a carousel for now because I'm liking that the best. I'll just do the maximum number of items so that if I post additional posts in the future, they'll show up. But I'll just do 3 items per row to display on the home page instead of 4. So yeah, you can play around with these settings as you want. You can also change the image proportions and the size of the text, and whether it's like centered, left or right justified, and some of the little details here with whether or not you want to show the featured image or the excerpt, etc., etc. I think you get the point. Oh yeah, and then it also, by default, probably will have this header text that says featured. I usually delete that. And going back to the featured, like earlier in my tutorial video, I mentioned selecting that box on individual blog posts for featured posts. If instead of displaying just the most recent posts in chronological order on your website, if instead you wanted to only display certain ones, you can select this featured only button. And actually, all of these technically have that setting checked, so it's still showing all of them. But that can be a way to, yeah, filter out certain blog posts as needed. So I'll just show you a little preview of how this looks. Okay, yeah, you now have this little slider here. It looks super nice. And on mobile view, it automatically just shows 2 posts side by side. So yeah, I'm super happy with it. What do you guys think? And just getting into some final little details real quick. I will quickly go through the blog post connection with your Squarespace email campaigns. Okay, so if you go into your settings, share, create email draft. Now it's automatically created a draft email in your campaigns folder, so you can go into campaigns. And wow, it just took the title, excerpt text, or actually it's the full text of the entire blog post in as similar of a layout as possible to how you've set up and designed the post on your website. And yeah, if you have Squarespace's email marketing features turned on and a paid subscription, you can send this out and just customize the details as needed. But super cool, great time saver, and just another way to continue marketing and promoting your blog content online. And next up, if you go up into the search bar here and type in blog, you'll be able to find some of your more detailed blog settings. If you have a specific URL format that you want to create and customize. Again, this is where you can go into the blog comment settings. And the last little setting that I wanted to cover is how to edit your blog's author profile picture and information. With this, you don't actually edit it on the website itself, you edit it on your general Squarespace account. And so to do this, you're going to click on your little profile picture here and click on it again in your account settings, go to profile, and you'll see you can upload a new photo here, change your first and last name, whatever you want it to say. And then Your display name, website, and any particular bio or information is what will show up on the blog post, like down here, basically for any website that you're a part of that has your blog author profile mentioned at the bottom. If you needed multiple different blog author profiles, you could just leave this blank or turn it off, and then just manually type out your name and a little picture on individual blog posts themselves. But yeah, once you edit that and save it, it will automatically show up on your blog right there if you have that feature turned on. Anytime you have, you're adding additional people to your website in your permission settings, you can, they'll be able to create their own blog author profile and picture. You can't like change or customize it for them. They have to go into their own Squarespace account and do that themselves. So whether they're a contributor with full admin access or they're just a basic author, actually for basic authors, you can customize that directly on here, which is kind of cool. All right, so that about wraps up this tutorial video. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know how things go if you have any additional questions as you're working on your blog on your Squarespace website. And if you ever need to reach out, my name is Alyssa Parr. I'm a Squarespace expert and I run Luminescent Dreams, a boutique web design studio based in the US. In addition to full start to finish custom website builds and complex redesigns and migrations, I also offer quick fix sessions and VIP days where you can just book me for 1 hour or up to 4 hours at a time. And if you ever need my help, yeah, feel free to get in touch through my website linked below. I would absolutely love to collaborate on your website, help answer any questions, and just be a part of your Squarespace web design journey. Thanks so much for tuning in and see you next time.